Am I the idiot for calling my boyfriend's mom's best friend, local doctor where I live, for urgent pregnancy advice? I, 27F, found out I am pregnant via at-home tests late on Thursday afternoon. I recently moved to the area my boyfriend grew up in. I do not have a doctor here yet. My boyfriend and his mom are away visiting family across the country. I am very close with his mom and have also gotten close with her best friend, F45, who is currently living temporarily with her locally and is an doctor here. On Thursday evening, after countless unanswered calls, I was debating going to the for testing/ultrasound, not ideal obviously, but I needed to see a specialist ASAP. For quick context on why I had to react quickly, I had an ectopic pregnancy a few years ago that resulted in sudden internal bleeding and a near-death emergency surgery. I am very high risk for another one. So, after discussing with my boyfriend and taking his advice, I called the friend of his mom who was home and off duty. I explained my situation very directly and calmly and asked for her direction. She told me to not rush to an and gave a referral for the next day. I expressed how appreciative I was. She said call if anything came up that evening, and the conversation ended amicably. Fast forward 3 days. I receive a text at 12 a.m. from her. Here it is with some redactions for privacy. I feel that it is necessary that I make you aware of a few things. I feel that it was wholly inappropriate that you involve me in your personal drama. Ex-boyfriend's mom is my best friend. I was placed in a no-win situation by a person who clearly doesn't understand boundaries. A person who relies on the fact that people are kind and accommodating even when their personal comfort is compromised. The sweet, unassuming, innocuous, helpless little girl act is just that, an act. What I see is a subversive, manipulative, sociopathic person who had to go out of her way to ruin ex's vacation. And you used me to do it. Because you clearly have issues with boundaries, I'm going to make this crystal clear. I am not interested in any further interaction with you. The Dr., her last name, free clinic is closed. You have crossed a line, and I do not want to be saddled with your issues, medical or otherwise. There is no need to respond to this text. While calling her was a difficult choice and my last resort, the more I've sat on the text message, the more I've started to think I am the asshole for not considering further the position I was putting her in. I can see how she felt I overstepped given her friendship with X. I spoke with X on my own on Friday, but that's irrelevant here. On the other hand, I can't shake that, especially as a medical professional. She reduced my health concerns I shared with her over a risky pregnancy to drama in a 12 a.m. text. I know I was asking a huge favor, but I thought in the moment it was the best option in a tough situation where I was alone. Clarification edit, our phone call was at 5 p.m., not 12 a.m. 12 a.m. was when I received the text message 3 nights later. Comment 1. Yeah, I completely get this and seems to be what others feel too. I gave more context to some other responses, but they probably don't help give a solid answer to why that text was written and sent in such a manner. I don't know where the more aggressive parts of it came from. I am genuinely confused and am laying in bed with my mind racing as the message was shocking. This is a very good doctor and from what I've seen a nice person. My boyfriend is asleep and I don't want to call and cause worry given I'm pregnant and it's 4 a.m. But I am hoping he can help me understand slightly more tomorrow. Comment 2. Just because they're a highly educated doctor doesn't mean they can't also be completely cuckoo bananas. As someone who also went to school for a long time for a profession that means everyone in my life has asked for advice at one time or another, it can get a bit annoying, but holy crow, I'd never put something so insane in a text, or even say it at all. And in an emergency situation where someone's panicking, I wouldn't hold them asking against them, even if I really couldn't help. Especially since the woman who is actually your partner's mom hasn't indicated a problem. This doctor is off her rocker. TBH though, I'm a firm believer that both medical and law school actually attract crazy, and actively cultivate it, so never assume educated sane. Definitely show your boyfriend the text when you can though. This lady's made some pretty odd and strong accusations against your character, way beyond what is reasonable for just being a bit ticked off that they were interrupted. Update. I took the advice of many of you to show and discuss the text I received from the DR friend with my BF and his mom. Here's an update and conclusion to this situation for anyone interested. My BF and I, both equally confused, spoke with his mom. She was shocked by the text's language, but, as many on my OP guessed, she knew missing context and wasn't entirely surprised the friend reached out. Here is what she shared. DR friend called her Thursday night, told her I was pregnant, high risk, past ectopic, and asked if she knew. On Friday, she called again and the tone was definitely different. Expressed she was very upset with me, thinks I was irresponsible to have not been on birth control given I had an ectopic rupture in the past, was questioning what kind of person I am, and was concerned BF and mom are being severely misled. BF's mom received many texts and 2 more phone calls on the trip. My BF asked if he could have the texts so we could understand exactly what was happening. She said yes. One text in particular sums up the gist of the DR's perspective and helps clarify why she sent me what she did. This all feels irresponsible, yet calculated. I keep thinking I could get a call that she's not responsive, drive over there, and find her dead with her dog running around. I know how much that would devastate __BF. I was there through his mourning of, one of his best friends passed away tragically from drowning a few years ago. I can't see him and you go through that pain again and feel I'd be a bad friend to not share this concern about her character, intentions, and health. No point in sharing my views on this here. More importantly, how did the conflict conclude? My BF said he will never speak to the doctor. He feels like doctor used him to manipulate his mom into mistrusting me. He is furious that, if the doctor cares as much about him as she said in the messages, she did not text or call him once to make sure she had her facts straight, birth control assumption, incorrect, or even to make sure I was not dead with my dog running around, SRAW.TAF. His mom will handle it however she wants to, that is private between her and her best friend, as I think it should be. Personally, I think I was the for calling the DR, all context now considered. I regret it, and while I will remain baffled by her series of decisions made between our call and her text, even now knowing where her head was, the best I can do is move on. Thank you everyone who read and offered opinions, and in many cases who shared personal experiences around ectopic pregnancies. And with that, there is no need to respond to this text post. Just kidding. Except not kidding to anyone who claims an ectopic pregnancy can't rupture the same day a woman pees on a stick. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for yelling at my mom when she acted like nothing happened after my dad cheated? My parents have a great relationship, well that's what I thought before what happened. My 14F, parents usually have friends over and always tell me I'm free to have friends over. So it wasn't a surprise when I unlocked the front door and could hear my dad and another woman in the kitchen. Since my dad usually calls my name when he hears me opening the door, I thought he probably didn't think I was home yet. I walked to the kitchen to greet my dad, but then I saw it. He kissed the woman on the cheek, a woman that isn't mom. Both of them were turned, facing away from the door, so they didn't see me. My dad proceeded to flirt with the woman until I threw my bag on the ground to get their attention. They pulled apart and Dad called out if that was me. I walked into the kitchen and greeted him and the woman, then I locked myself in my room for the rest of the afternoon. I only came out when my mom came home. I helped my mom put away her things and put her weekly flowers in a vase before turning to her and telling her what I saw. She stayed quiet for a moment, then told me that she'll take care of it and that I shouldn't worry about it anymore. A few days go by and nothing happens. There was no fight, no arguments, no sour faces at each other, no divorce. Nothing that would usually happen to cheaters in movies and stuff. It pissed me off how my mom could continue to joke with my dad after what he did and still cook for him. Yesterday after dinner when my dad went to bed, I went at her demanding to know what's wrong with her, and how she could go on living a life with dad who cheated. She sighed and told me to drop it, but I didn't. I asked her why she wasn't getting a divorce, and why she was putting up with my POS dad. She glared at me and told me to watch my tone and to not disrespect my dad. Finally, I yelled at her asking why she was defending him, and she told me that she'd explain everything once I cooled down. I told my brother, 17, the whole story so he could know the truth about my dad, but he seemed really irritated. He told me to shut up and not tell anyone else in the family about my dad. He said that if mom said she'd handle, she would. I told him she didn't and that they were still acting as if it happened. He glared at me and told me to calm down and talk to mom like an adult if I wanted to act like one instead of just yelling at her. He also called me an asshole for escalating the situation and making dinners awkward. I don't think I'm the asshole, but whatever. My after-school activities got cancelled that day and I didn't let my parents know beforehand, so they didn't expect me to be home so early. I'm just gonna add the timeline. I caught my dad Friday after school, told my mom Friday night after she came home from work, waited, then went at my mom Monday night, wrote this post an hour after yelling at her, talked to my cousin at 12 a.m., apologized after school, Tuesday. Edit. I asked my dad about it, but he just avoided answering and told me that him and mom would talk to me about it when I cooled down. What do I have to cool down about? Edit. Going against what my brother said, I talked to my cousin about it since we're pretty close, 16F. Basically, she told me 2 things. 1. Stop getting influenced by TikTok and Reddit. And 2. Said they're an open relationship. I asked how she knew for sure and she told me to give my parents time to explain this, and that it took her mom a month before she finally sat her and my brother down after they caught her with a family friend. After asking, she told me this happened about 5 years ago. Never thought my aunt was like that. Edit. After sleeping it off and reading everyone's comments, I felt really guilty for yelling at my mom and know I deserve all those Ida. I apologized to my mom once I got home from school and am now going to stay with my friend for a few days. Hopefully my parents will be ready to talk when I return. Update. Hello everyone. I just want to say thank you guys for all the responses and for dealing with my brattiness, my brother's words. The split judgments were giving me a headache while trying to read everyone's comments. After sleeping off my rage fit and reading some of the comments, I did come to terms that I was in the wrong. Some people had mentioned that my parents could have been trying to come up with the best way to talk to me, which I believe was true because they've never been good at having heart-to-hearts. So doing what I thought would be good for everyone, I made plans to stay with my close friend and let my parents be. I apologized to my mom and left for my friends. There was a little arson situation at our high school like an hour before school ended, so we all got out early, and I decided to go home earlier. When my parents got home from work, we had our conversation. First, my mom apologized profusely for having me wait and not saying anything earlier, and my dad apologized for having me see what I saw. I accepted them but apologized to my mom again. My mom said, "We weren't planning on telling you everything until you moved out, but your idiot for a father always messes shit up." She then told me that what they have is like an open relationship, but they never knew what to label it until one of their friends helped. She also told me that since they were being honest, it was her who cheated first and my dad turned out to be okay. My dad told me that if I wanted, they wouldn't have their friends around anymore. I declined that offer since I was already used to seeing them and I never minded the extra people in the house. My brother joined the conversation and told me the story of how he found out about my aunt and our parents. Later, my brother came into my room and showed me my Ida post on his phone. Yes. He found my post FML. He pinched me and said he was sorry. To clear up a few things. 1. Many of you said it was obvious it was an open relationship, but like it wasn't to me. 2. A lot of you took the sentence, "Never thought my aunt was like that." Wrong. I wasn't judging or anything. I was honestly just surprised since I didn't expect my aunt of all people to like that sort of thing. She's pretty conservative. 3. I didn't want to believe my parents were in an open relationship since I just couldn't picture it. 4. My mom always tells me a few things, one of them being, never let a man make fool of you. Thinking my mom was just letting my dad mess around without any consequences was what made me mad. 5. I never wanted a divorce. 6. I referenced movies once. 7. My parents didn't gaslight me and I'm not traumatized. Everyone that shared their experiences, I hope you're at peace now. This was a roller coaster of emotion and I think made us all a bit closer. Again, thank you everyone, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day or night. Comment 1. I mean, it was kind of a yearly experience starting in middle school for me. Someone would do something idiotic like smoke in the bathroom, throw the lit cigarette in the trash, and start a fire. The fire alarm goes off, everyone has to stand on a field, the fire department has to clear the whole school and reset the alarms. Getting people back into class mode is a pain in the ass. Maybe someone got the idiotic idea to do it on purpose to get out of a test. Like it's the stupid shit teenagers come up with because they think it won't be a big deal, it's just a fire in a trash can, no one will get hurt, and I'll get an extra day to study. Of course, if you get caught you'll get expelled, but teenagers aren't always good at thinking through those consequences. Comment 2. We had bomb situations. One of them stopped my exams and we had to wait outside in the heat for ages until the police checked the building. We also had police drug raids where the entire school was in lockdown and we had to put our backpacks outside the classrooms, while police came along from the city with sniffer dogs. We also had arson attacks where they would trash what little resources we had. The special ed department also put the violent special ed kids into mainstream classes to give them the high school experience, which meant we were given the special ed experience of having chairs thrown at us and being sweared at, screamed, pushed etc. because they couldn't control their feelings. There was a bullet hole in the window of the math room that was never fixed the entire time I was there for 5 years. It was freezing in winter as no one thought to block it off.